Jay will be in about an hour, and I was thinking about maybe not talking about what we're going to call the legal letter.
The letter.
The letter. Until maybe he gets here.
Okay, because he's better at this stuff.
Well, no, he's
that guy. That's his specialty.
Like this is, he is regarded as a very astute and has a very good track record at one of the most high profile one of these that we've had.
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And Bubba versus MJ.
Right.
MJ versus Bubba. Which was somewhat loosely framed on what this person's alleging, correct?
Right.
And when really it's hurt-philioma and public officials really, really have to have thick skin if you're going before you become a public official and before you become a political candidate or a sheriff or a mayor or a counsel or a prosecutor or even a police officer. Haven't they deemed now police officers are public figures as well? In fact, I won my first defamation and slander lawsuit against Officer Giles of the Florida Highway Patrol circa 94? I think it was. Something like that.
Yeah, probably.
So police officers are public officials as well. Now, I'm always very respectful to police officers. But I have the right to criticize them on the air.
We all have the right to criticize people on the air. It's our First Amendment right.
Right. And if you're a public official or in the public eye, so to speak, or a celebrity or a newscaster or a buccaneer or a lightning or a senator or a congressperson or a mayor, then your insulation of being a private citizen and not open to opinionated scrutiny from anybody, including your favorite radio personality, you need to take a couple steps back and realize what the real rules are with that.
It's much different if you're a public figure, and a candidate for public office is a public figure.
So, needless to say, Jay, in one of probably arguably the highest profile slander, defamation, malice lawsuits ever to be tried in this particular area, unfortunately or fortunately involved me. And that was MJ versus Bubba that we very much prevailed on. And Jay was at that point denoted as the spitting cobra. And his clothes is unbelievable. I'm trying to find it. I think maybe Wags has it on some kind of something.
Well, I mean, we have the audio on the close.
We do?
Yeah, we
have the audio.
Jay, I thought Jay had the video.
Well, I'd love to have the quote unquote the close, and be able to have it and make it a YouTube video and all of that. I'd love that. It goes down in infamy.
Yeah, Jay was supposed to find the video. He said he had it recorded. He was trying to find it at his house or something.
So a person that has most recently appeared on this program is currently been given a legal letter for his appearance on our program. And we're going to vaguely speak about that. And I don't want to add oxygen to this person that is, trying to think that they were wronged. I don't. And I certainly don't want to get sued, and I certainly don't want to be part of a lawsuit. But that being said, I was given this legal document while I was in Warsaw, and I actually was trying to read through it on my phone Saturday night, and I was like, it kind of bummed me out. I was kind of bummed out because I was just like, really? You want your cake and you want to eat it too? Is that you want to be able to be in the public eye, but you can't take scrutiny? Like, this is a problem. Like, this is a character flaw, is it not?
Yeah, I mean, like,
you're not even all that yet, but you think you are.
It's narcissism.
At times 50 on you.
Yeah, one of the definitions of a narcissist is someone that can't take any kind of criticism.
As you should know.
Well, I take the criticism. I just laugh it off as nonsense.
Dan's going to be here just for some flavor, but this is right down, as I talked about earlier to this morning, Jay has tried.
This is what Jay does.
This is what Jay does. And Jay didn't even really do this until my deal. I was one of Jay, I think I might have been your first and only First Amendment high-profile case.
You were.
And I mean, not that
Oh, he's taking over.
not that you wouldn't you'll take as many of these on as they want. You have a very good track record, and by far have
100%.
the highest profile one of these tried locally in our area. You were, and we talked about your clothes and how we're trying to find your clothes, and not the clothes on what you wear, but your closing arguments or your closing of
your video that you have.
Yeah, do you have it?
I have one that it looks like someone set their video camera in front of their TV. It's got terrible audio. I don't have a good one. I don't have an actual feed.
We have the audio, but the visual.
Yeah. We're in the process of getting that. I want to put that up on YouTube. That being said, you have tried one of the most high-profile of slander, malice, defamation suits ever in this area.
It should have been thrown out in a motion to dismiss, and we went all the way to a trial, to a jury of our peers in this community.
Right. So you have seen this, as they would say, soup to nuts. You've seen
Correct.
every part of this, from the summary of judgment to
From this letter to closing arguments.
To closing arguments in front of a trial. Now, you're familiar with what I gave you. Dan's
Yes.
familiar. Blitz is familiar. We all have them.
Yes.
I was given this on Saturday night, and I got real. And I'm going to be honest with you. I was hanging out with Larry Plummer watching the Notre Dame game, and I actually had to kind of put myself in a timeout. I went to my room to collect my thoughts because this was giving me a lot of anxiety, and because I tried to kind of shuffle it off kind of jovially at first, but deep down this really disturbs me on several different levels. That if you're a person in the position that this person, the plaintiff is potential plaintiff, that person is the absolute definition of a public figure.
Absolutely.
And when you're a public figure, you have to put up the level or the bar to malice, slander, or defame you is virtually unattainable.
It has to be actual malice, and in the context of this, it's really, really difficult to prove. It's total First Amendment protection.
And not only that, but isn't one thing, Jay, I think that you'll be very proud of me. You can have your feelings hurt. You can say defamation, slander, malice, but what are the damages?
Yep.
That's what you need to prove. You need to say that I, because of these irresponsible, not protected by the First Amendment rights, which almost everything is, affected my life to the point where I was caused this type of pain
You
or
should
suffering.
award me money
Now-
for what someone said about me, hurt philioma.
And here's the deal. This particular person won. I mean, within what could have happened, this person would be, I wouldn't say have a legitimate lawsuit, but would be able to show more damages had they not prevailed. But they prevailed. In lieu of these comments that this person has a problem with, this person won.
And
Right?
that's absolutely true. And these comments come in the wake of a tidal wave of similar comments. So try to prove the damages in the wake of the other comments and show that these particular comments somehow hurt you, damaged you, affected your ability to work in the community, or
caused you to lose.
or somehow affected you. And I look at them all again and I see a lack of context. I see it's just
so
familiar. It's like
It is.
PTSD.
It
Well,
really
but
is.
hold,
It
but,
is.
but hold on, Jay. Here's the deal. When you look at the firm, not going to mention any names, that is a very large firm.
Oh yeah.
That is one of the big giants in Tampa Bay.
They're
am I
not doing
right?
this on a contingency fee. I can't imagine.
Right. So that firm, I'm not going to say is a big, scary firm, but there's just various firms in this particular
Silk
state.
stocking firm in the state.
Yes, well, I'm saying there are just some firms that you see, like, if it's Frederick and Frederick, some little boutique
Right.
shop out of
Right.
Brooksville, Florida. Well, then you're like, all right. But I mean, this firm is like, whoa. Now, here's my question to you, Jay. You have this large of a reputable firm, the highest echelon of firms, and they are writing this type of, they're behind this nonsense? Does that just go to show you that if you got enough money, you can get even the largest, most reputable firms to come up with this nonsense? I only expect the greatest possible, allegations from this firm. Reputable, by the law.
You know what's missing conspicuously? Case law. any
yeah.
law.
Yeah,
it
you're
just
right.
says you did this, and it is stop because it is defamation, and you owe. I mean, come on, it's ridiculous.
Hold on, now, you ready for this?
The law.
Conclusory.
It lacks factual credibility. It lacks the legal authority to make it worth the paper it's written on. Other than it comes from a reputable firm, and it shows that this
But don't you think
plaintiff is potentially willing to spend money.
Don't you think that
to go after people.
that this particular firm would maybe not within their little threatening letter say, you said several wacky and flat out bizarre things on the show, such as wacky and bizarre. Since when have those been terms that you have to work? When does a reputable company think that wacky and bizarre could potentially be, a problem?
No, it's got to be a defamatory statement of fact.
Wacky and bizarre.
It almost seems like it was written by a non-lawyer. And my other
It
question
almost seems
is,
like it might have been written by the person in question.
another issue is, obviously these cases probably aren't done under contingency, and it's probably paid legal hours to have this letter generated. And did the money come from her campaign fund? Is she using campaign funds?
Don't
to
make
threaten
silly
people?
allegations,
I mean,
Dan.
where's
Just
the money
stop.
coming from?
Just stop.
No, but you know what, Jay? Honest to God, I thought that same thing too. I'm sorry that Dan said him, but I should have said him before him to put me on the hook. But that is, where did the money come to fund? Because this is not going to be a, hey, we're going to take this on contingency. This is going to be, hey, we are this much an hour to be able to get behind this particular deal. Pay us to write this letter. That's what I would think this is. And so I know that she doesn't have a job per se. Where did the money come to fund this potential litigation?
Good question, Bubba.
I think that's a very legitimate question, Jay.
You raise a lot of questions that are legitimate, and I find that one legitimate too. I mean, it's just an opinion.
Right.
Where's the
It's a
funding
question.
come
It's
from?
not an opinion. It's a question.
It's a
Right.
question.
Well, you can raise questions about anything.
Right. And
It's America.
so I saw this, Jay, on Saturday night, and it really upset me because I was like, I, one, have lived this nightmare. And two, if this person that we speak about is already get their feelings hurt over, do you have the chops to really go and be the person you want to be a politician or be a high-ranking politician? Do you know how bad it really is going to get? And that it just won't be me and a couple other people that are saying these wacky and bizarre things about you. It'll be Tucker Carlson and Fox News and CNN and all of these things and Don Lemon and this little popsicle stand of the Bubba the Love Sponge show is just a small little. You know what? This person should be actually happy that we exposed the type of crazy
It's
things
vetting.
that she's going to be exposed to if this person wins.
What this shows is she was able to sustain a hardcore vetting on the air of people's opinions, what they thought of her, and if this person won in the wake of that, then God bless it. That's fine. That's called politics.
And now, Jay, in your opinion, what happens next here? In your opinion, and it's let's be vague and but do you think
There's an opportunity to make it go away very simply by just retracting.
But I will not allow that retraction on my air.
I look at the bullet points, and the bullet points are just they're not statements of fact.
So if I do, let's say that I bow down and that I retract or let the person retract
Yep.
whatever on my show.
Yep.
Now, haven't I set a pretty bad precedent?
Well, they're not trying to say you did anything wrong. So I mean,
But at the end of the day,
if he wanted an opportunity to do that, I think that let's talk about it. But I mean, is he asking for that opportunity? He or she?
no.
Okay. Well, if he or she asks for that opportunity, let's talk about it.
Has he or she already read and gotten this letter and
Oh yeah.
talked to you about it, Bubba?
What do you mean?
Has the recipient
yeah.
of this letter talked to you about it?
Yes.
Okay.
They have.
And do they want to come on?
No.
Okay.
Well, then
They
it's-
just
that's
were
pretty-
like,
then there you have it.
they're,
That's all
well,
done, yeah.
they're just like, well, can you believe this?
Then
And
there you
so-
have it.
But let's just say later on down the line, their counsel says, hey, let's just go ahead and say we're sorry about these various things and see if Bubba will go along with it.
I think that
That's
shows
not
you
fair.
as a broadcaster are willing to give your guests an opportunity to fix something if they made a mistake.
Let me throw it over to Dan.
Well, look, you have an open venue. But listen, maybe you don't want to hear that, but this is the truth. Sometimes you have people on that say things that are outlandish. And what were the two words they used?
Wacky and bizarre.
You have people say wacky and bizarre things all the time.
So hold on. When have I, as Bubba the Love Sponge, got into the apologizing and wacky and bizarre world?
You're not. Well, they're not asking
It's
you
not
to.
you, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Is if you have guests because you have an open forum for people to express themselves, including wacky opinions, whatever they want. If they want an opportunity to fix something, that should be okay. What's the
wanna
problem
take
with
this-
that?
I just
you
want to
see-
take this
hold on.
opportunity to apologize for all the wacky and bizarre things I've said.
Troglodyte guy said that the Merch Crick is designing a new children's book called Daddy's Getting Sued Again. So, Jay, what's the protocol as to what happens with this letter that we've spoke of a little bit, that we've touched on? What do you think happens next?
See what that dude wants to do.
Can you guess what's going to happen? Because I mean, if the guy the letter's to does nothing, I bet it stops there.
Probably. If it didn't, if someone tried to file suit on that, it should be thrown out of court the first time a judge sees
If
it.
a judge saw this and this is the testimony and what they have and how they feel they've been wronged and slandered and malice, does the average judge say, I don't think you know the law because none of this meets the law,
Just
that
talk. Just think
standard?
of the last 4 presidents and the things that have been said against
them
George Bush, Barack Obama, Donald Trump,
and our current
and
guy.
Joe Biden.
Yeah.
None of that's actionable.
And
You
there's
say
been-
whatever you want about those guys. It's your
Right.
opinion. It's your question. It's whatever. And if it's offensive, you should be, shunned for being offensive. But that's not slander or defamation. You remember I said offensive is different than defamatory. And if you find something offensive, change the channel.
even if it's about you.
Turn it off. Read a book.
Now, wouldn't you say that this person is getting ready to enter the league of one of the names that you just mentioned?
Yeah.
And it's kind of in that same group, so to speak. Same job. They're politicians.
Yeah. In that regard, I don't think presidential
No, not level of authority, but more importantly, just that
But
group
national-
that hopper of publicness, so to speak.
It's national political traction. And when you're a national political figure, you are susceptible to national political criticisms, including those which you may not like the way they sound.
Like what I'm going to say is, if this person has this big of issue with a local schmokel show and ours with a little bit of a YouTube, Facebook, and other kickers, do you know what the Tucker Carlsons and the Brian
How
Kilmeade
about Alex?
and
Just what Alex has done recently to politicians. That's
Right.
all protected
That's a sign.
speech.
Yeah.
right?
It's just so much worse than anything that's on this paper. And it's not worse. So much funnier. So much more accurate and more politically correct and protected speech. And so you may not like it, but it's part of it. They're doing it on both sides.
But don't you find it a little bit problematic that this person thinks
I
that
do.
they can act in this manner when if they are criticized, that they can now file lawsuits? And this person has said, if you talk bad about me, I'll sue you. Well, that's a problem for the job that potentially this person may have.
One of the key factors, a fundamental characteristic of that role is being susceptible to criticism and rising above it. It's part of the job.
So, do you think that a reputable attorney that this other person, the defendant, may hire will shoot something back and tell them, really? Pack sand, buddy. I'm already filing a summary of judgment. Like, what would you do, Jay, if this person retained you? If the defendant retained you, what would your advice be?
I think you know what we would do.
Would you go for instantly? Now, this is not a tort, right? This is just
No, it's a tort.
No, but this is not a legal binding. This is just a shot across the bow, so to speak.
Right.
Is it not?
This
Yeah,
is a
just a letter.
pre-notice letter.
Yeah.
Right. So,
It's a conditioned precedent to bringing a lawsuit, though, which means you can't bring a lawsuit without doing this. It's the first step towards.
do you think a lawsuit is coming?
From this individual, probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
Do you think we'll be involved
I don't think you should be. I don't know what you did wrong.
by giving this person a forum?
I
By
don't see
by
any-
having songs and things that I've done?
I don't know. I don't see anything in there right now that would raise that concern to me.
How can she do it to him and not me?
I don't know. I can't evaluate the difference between the two. You're not the one that spoke the words. You're just the broadcaster. There's a huge different standard, and yet they're the same. It's very similar. It starts and begins with actual malice.
Right.
So, but you as a broadcaster are allowed to have people come on and render opinions or facts or questions and whatever you want, especially in the context of a political campaign. That's called the essence of the First Amendment. Political speech is protected.
Hope she's listening to this show. She realizes how stupid she looks.
And you also got to go to a jury of our peers sitting in this community and say that that's what they want to take their time up for. That was one of the big things. Remember that? 3 weeks of their time over hurtfilioma. The first juror came out and said he needs to get his big boy panties and deal with, you know what I mean? It was like, that's the same type of thing.
The person that is potentially wants this to be a problem needs to realize, I just want you to understand statistically, I'm 4-0 on these sorts of things. So
maybe that's why they didn't include you in it.
Jay, thank you, my friend.
As always,
Tell
my
Steve
pleasure.
we're coming up with a Panda song.
I will.